Hello guys, this is Scott here, and wow, it's been a very long time since we've done one of these historic videos. And today we're having a look at the very interesting autumn of 1921. Now, as I said, it's been a very long time since I've done one of these historic videos. It was, I think, August last year, the last one we done, so I'm finally going to start getting back into them. So just before we get started, I'd just like to say that the charts that you see in this video come from the fantastic historical archive at wetterzentral.de. They have an archive of charts going back to January of 1851, can you believe? Every day, a chart for every day. So that really is a fantastic resource, and if you want to request a historic video, you can choose anything from the start of 1851. And also, many of the facts and figures that you hear in this video come from Trevor Harley's personal weather website. He has a list of information going back to the Dark Ages in some cases for every month almost. So it really is a brilliant resource, and I couldn't do these historic videos without either of those two sites. So as I said, we're having a look at the autumn of 1921 in this video. And just to put it into context, 1921 had been a very dry year. In fact, I think it's one of the driest years on record actually. It was generally very blocked, very dry obviously because of that. And we'd just come out of a very hot summer. And I was thinking about actually putting the summer in this video, but I thought no, we'd leave it for another video. And in this we're just going to focus on the autumn, which itself, as I said, was very interesting. So we're going to start off on the 1st of September 1921, of course the first day of the meteorological autumn. And September 1921 has a CET of 14.1 degrees, which is a bit warmer than average, and it was mostly to do with quite warm days being counteracted by fairly chilly nights. And of course, like the rest of 1921, it was a very dry month as well. So we start off on the 1st, and you can see there that generally we have sort of the lasting pattern of the summer really, high pressure sitting in control. And actually the summer holds on for the most part, so as we go through the 2nd, the 3rd and into the 4th, we generally keep the UK under high pressure. As you can see, that black line there, which is the jet stream, is well to the north of the country, so we're in warm, dry and sunny conditions. Through the 5th and into the 6th of September, really there's no change, we stay very dry. Into the 7th and into the 8th, we actually start to pull up some very warm air from the south. So actually on the 9th, we have 30 degrees Celsius at Southend-on-Sea, so a very late heat wave there for the summer, and the summer lives on through the autumn. But then as we move into the 10th and into the 11th of September, we actually bring this area of low pressure through. And really this was one of the only significantly wet days of the entire year, in fact. Across the south there was quite widely 25 millimetres of rain falling. And of course after a hot and dry summer that's pretty much a relief. But really, as I said, it was one of the only very wet days in this very dry year, and in fact this very dry autumn. And as we go into the 12th, obviously you can see that area of low pressure clearing through. But as we go through the 13th and then the 14th of September, again high pressure starts to take over the pattern again. So through the 15th and the 16th of September, again we turn very dry. Autumn has a go at throwing in some cool and unsettled weather, but it doesn't really get a foothold. And again through the 17th and the 18th of September, summer lives on. In fact, we built up quite a significant block there by the 19th. In fact, high pressure up to 1035 millibars, so it's very dry under that, and I don't think it was very humid either. And of course, a southeasterly wind off the continent is still pretty warm in September, so fantastic late summer, early autumn weather. And there's no change as we move on really through the 20th and the 21st of September. High pressure clears away, only to be replaced by another area of high pressure from the Azores into the 22nd and the 23rd. The jet stream again is well to our north, and the UK remains warm and dry. And that takes us through the final week of September really, so the 24th, the 25th and into the 26th of September, high pressure again just on top of the country. There's the 27th, the 28th and the 29th. There's really no change. And actually as we move into the final day of the month, we start to set up quite a significant heat wave, which is going to come into play very shortly. And then that takes us into October 1921. And October 1921 is in many ways a pretty historic month. And it has a central England temperature of 12.8 degrees. And at the time of this month, it was actually the warmest October on record. Nowadays, it's actually been knocked down to 6th place. But at the time, it was the warmest. And it's also the sunniest October on record, and it's exceptionally dry as well, so you know something pretty spectacular with this month is about to come up. And in fact, if I just tell you a statistic here, 25 Celsius was recorded somewhere in the country on 8 of the first 10 days of the month, and that's something truly remarkable. That's something that you'd expect to see in a summer month really, let alone October. So what I'm about to show is actually a pretty incredible month really. So we start off on the 1st of October and we're bringing up a very warm southerly wind, and we have temperatures already up into the mid-20s, and in fact overnight the 1st and into the 2nd of October temperatures don't fall below 17.8 degrees across the south of the country, so a remarkably warm night for this time of year. And that pattern goes into the 3rd as well. We tried to bring low pressure in, and it wasn't hot and sunny everywhere. In fact, there was some very big downpours in this month as well, some almost summer-like thunderstorms as well. In fact, on the 3rd, we had 63 millimetres of rain in a thunderstorm at Oswestry in the West Country. So it really is like a summer hot spell, this. But of course, for the middle of autumn, it's pretty remarkable. And as we go into the 4th, again the southerlies resurge and we bring very warm air across the country. And as we move into the 5th, we actually then look at that on the 5th of October, southerly winds going all the way down to Spain and North Africa. And in fact, on the 5th of October, we have 28.9 degrees Celsius at London. And in fact, prior to 1985 and then later 2011, this was the hottest October day on record. We'd never seen a day as hot as this in October, so truly remarkable heat for so late in the year. And then those are the upper air temperatures there for the 5th of October. Really, it just explains why it's so warm across the country. The 10 Celsius isotherm is across the country, across the entire country pretty much, and even going as high as 12 and 13 degrees in parts of the southwest there. So some really remarkable heat for the time of year. And it lasts on into the 6th as well, and in fact that 28.9 degrees, we actually matched that on the 6th. So again, pretty incredible weather. And then again there was more thunderstorms across Scotland this time. In fact, there was some remarkable flooding across western Scotland. So again, hot and thundery, really like a summer hot spell this. Through the 7th, again, there's really no change. Temperatures stay in the mid-20s. Through into the 8th, again, just remarkably warm for the time of year. And as we go into the 9th, again, we get some very high temperatures. In fact, on the 9th, we have 27.8 degrees at London. Again, London was really the place to be in this month. And that is the latest day in the year that at least 80 Fahrenheit has been recorded in the UK. And that's not been bettered since. So really a historic warm autumn warm spell this. Truly fantastic weather. And then as we go into the 10th, by that point the Atlantic tries to move in. So we have another very warm day across the southeast, but again in the northwest some violent thunderstorms break out, and again there's some flooding and severe lightning recorded on this day. So, is it really October, they must have thought at the time. And through the 11th and the 12th, again, we generally keep high pressure through the country, but by this time we've eased off on the temperatures now. It's still very sunny and still very dry away from where any thunderstorms were, but temperatures are more now sort of the low 20s. So still very warm for the time of year, but, we've lost that very remarkable heat of early October. And that goes through the 13th and the 14th, really. There's no change except low pressure trying to have a go there on the 14th. It doesn't make any inroads because, again, by the 15th and the 16th, high pressure is returning. And by the 17th, again, it's actually starting to drag up another warm southerly. So by the 18th of October, again, we record 24.4 degrees. And in the southeast, in the mid-20s, when we're getting pretty late in the autumn now. So that's, again, just a truly remarkable spell of weather in this month. Of course, we're in the second half of autumn now, and it's not often you see weather like this at this time of year. And then as we go in, in fact, those are the upper air temperatures for the 18th of October. Again, the UK well and truly in warm air, as is most of Europe as well, actually. So again, a fantastic month. And low pressure tries to move in again on the 19th, so again we start to see more thunderstorms break out, and again those thunderstorms last into the 20th of October. And in fact, on the 20th, we record 62 millimetres of rain in a thunderstorm at Tunbridge Wells in the southeast. So again, almost a summer-like month this, truly remarkable, as I keep saying. And through the 21st and the 22nd, of course, it's generally warm, but of course now we are starting to get chilly nights with this as well. That's the inevitable truth about autumn, I'm afraid, that even under warm air masses you start to get colder weather at night, of course, because autumn is a cooling season after all, and the nights are getting pretty long. But still, the 23rd and into the 24th, high pressure holds on. Chilly mornings, but then pleasantly mild afternoons. Still, the warm side of this autumn carries on through the 25th, the 26th and the 27th. And that's really where we finish off October, really, with warm, dry and sunny weather for the time of year. The 28th, the 29th and the 30th. And of course, there's the chart for Halloween. And of course, by this time, the consideration was, were we going to see potentially the warmest autumn on record? And at the time, it was looking pretty likely with that warm September and the very warm October we've just had. But actually, November completely changes that, because as we go into November 1921, this month was completely different. And it stayed very settled, but instead of it being a very warm month, it was actually a very cold month. November 1921 has a Central England temperature of 4.6 degrees, and that's pretty chilly for November. And if you think, that's about 8.5 degrees colder than October's just been, so it must have been a real shock to the system, this. And also in contrast to September and October, it was actually quite a dull month, this. It was actually quite a foggy month, and you'll see why in a second. So there we are on the 1st of October, and we have low pressure diving down from the north. And as you can see, the isobars there are switching round into the north. So that's now bringing colder air across the country. We've not really seen any majorly cool days this autumn, but so this was the first real cold day. And imagine, as I said, it was probably a very big shock to the system. And as we move through the 2nd and the 3rd of November, high pressure trying to throw up a bit of a ridge there. But of course now we're under a completely different air mass by this point. So it's moderate frosts overnight and then chilly by the daytime. Through the 4th we bring another area of low pressure through, and that goes into the 5th as well, so actually quite a breezy and unsettled bonfire night there in what was quite a dry year. You know, one of those little statistical quirks that you find. But nonetheless, as we go into the 6th, as that low pressure clears away, it then puts us under this northerly wind then, and then this brings, you know, the first major wintry spell. So through the 7th, you can see if you follow those isobars back, they're going all the way up to the north. And then actually from that area of low pressure, there was actually quite a widespread snowfall on the 7th and into the 8th of November. And in fact, many areas actually recorded over 10 centimetres of snow on the morning of the 8th of November. Of course, again, those winds going all the way back to the north, so it's cold overnight and chilly by day. And of course this is a very early snowfall as well. And those are the upper air temperatures there for the 8th of November. The -5 Celsius isotherm has completely cleared the country, and then we're bringing the -10 into the north. So, you know, a complete change over October when we, you know, had temperatures, you know, 20-25 degrees warmer than what we've got now. Truly a remarkable autumn when you look at it. And then through the 9th, high pressure then builds back through the country, so again we turn it drier and then we stay frosty as well. Through the 10th and into the 11th, and actually high pressure trying to get up towards Scandinavia and Western Russia. And as we go into the 12th and the 13th, that really starts to set up quite a block. So, you know, we've had the first cold spell, but is this now a sign that potentially we're starting to set up something pretty severe? But it doesn't quite happen, I'm afraid, because as you see, as we go through the 14th and the 15th of November, and it just doesn't quite get a hold of our pattern, and it's just a little bit too far east. So it's generally dragging in a southeasterly off the continent. And of course in November that's pretty chilly, but it's also dragging in a lot of fog and a lot of low cloud. So it's actually pretty raw and cold under this. So fairly unpleasant really, you know, we've lost the sunshine and we're generally very dull at this stage. Through the 16th and the 17th, of course, low pressure trying to have a go, but it's blocked off by that quite strong Russian high there, up to 1055 millibars. And again through the 18th we have some very persistent fog now, and by this point there was actually some quite severe disruption to the train lines on the 18th of November. So some very serious travel disruption, and also some quite poor air quality, and there was a lot of smoke particles and unpleasant air mixed in with this, so also, you know, not very pleasant really. Through the 19th and the 20th, you know, again perhaps hinting at something a bit more severe as the winds turn a bit more easterly. In fact, there on the 21st, you can see we're actually bringing a upper level weather system there. So imagine for parts of Scotland that actually brought a bit of snow again on the 21st of November. But really for the rest of the country we generally stay quite cold, foggy and with light winds, so through the 22nd and the 23rd. But as we get towards the end of November then the pattern starts to change, so through the 24th and the 25th you can start to see then that area of high pressure over Eastern Europe starts to collapse away, and then we've got those blue colours starting to appear in the Atlantic now, so that's a sign that potentially quite a spell of stormy weather is coming up. And as we go through the 26th, that high pressure collapses away, and through the 27th we slowly start to bring the Atlantic in now. So by the 28th and the 29th, November ends on a much milder and more breezy note. And there we are on the 30th, and that's where the autumn finishes. And actually after that initial optimism, the rest of the winter, and in fact the winter of 1921 to 22, it was actually quite disappointing for cold weather fans, and there wasn't really anything majorly cold in this, and there was no real snowfall that stands out in that winter. So potentially, in November we actually saw the best of the cold. Um, but of course, because November is autumn, it caps off what was a pretty remarkable autumn. Of course, it was exceptionally dry throughout, and we had a warm September, an exceptionally warm October, and then of course that switched to a cold November. So generally, as I said, a very remarkable autumn for weather. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. And besides, if you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a like and subscribe perhaps. And as I said, if you've got any requests for historic videos, please let me know in the comments. But other than that, thank you for watching, guys, and I will get into these historic videos again this time, I promise that. But as I said, that's going to do it for this time, so see you guys soon.